What up, y'all? Welcome to That Time in Hip Hop. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now podcast. I got my homie Tone from d.o.c. What's up, man?
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Chilling, man. And if you're tuning in for the first time, this is a podcast literally designed by us to inform you of not only albums, songs, movers, shakers, whatever in hip hop, but to give you some perspective, some some history, some facts, some opinions. Opinions gonna be there, and everything you need to understand why these moments, these albums, these artists were dope in hip hop culture. Why we celebrate them. You know what I'm saying? This is the first episode. You know what I'm saying? So I've been on a White Henny tour. Hold on. But you know what I'm saying, we just here to chop it up, man. What's good, Tone? How the week been? I see you got the shirt of my favorite album on right now.
Yeah, man, my week been pretty good, brother. Rocking that tribe called Quest Low in Theory.
Mm.
My second favorite tribe album.
What's your first?
I mean, it's the Midnight Marauders.
Why I can't believe everybody says that, but hey, yeah, I guess
I
so.
mean, you know what? The Low in Theory is more innovative. I will say that, but just something hits me in the heart with the Midnight Marauders. Probably lyrics to go. The way Q-Tip did lyrics to go is and electric relaxation, man. Just I don't know, it's just a personal favorite. I can't even really say what's the best one. That's my favorite one. They're
Yeah,
both they both on the same level artistically and as far as the greatness.
yeah, I feel the exact same way, man. And first of all, we just want to say this because sometimes you gotta say this at the end, but sometimes you gotta say it at the beginning, man. If you want more information on hip hop and stuff like that, you can go to enterthedome.com. That's ENTERDOME.com. You know what I'm saying? You can follow us on social media. A lot of this stuff will be in the description, but what we want you to do more than anything, so you continue to get this type of content every week, is subscribe, hit that like button, and definitely comment. Let us know what you think in those comments because what you think or what you bring up may influence us to take the show in different directions as far as topics. So if you got suggestions, we take those also. But you got to go in the comment section. No fighting because I ain't moderating
Yeah.
unless you're racist. If you're racist, then yeah, I'm gonna moderate your ass. But that's it, man. But Tone, we do this thing where we talk about what happened in hip hop this week in history. So tell the people what happened this week in history.
Well, this week in hip hop, April the 12th, 1988, one of
Mm,
my favorite groups, Boogie Down Productions, dropped
mm,
their sophomore album, By All Means Necessary.
mm.
And let me tell you, whenever a group drop a classic debut, you worry about a sophomore slump.
Yeah,
And especially with the tragedy that happened within BDP with Scott LaRock getting killed, I really didn't know how KRS-One and BDP would come.
yeah,
And once I heard My Philosophy, I heard the record, the single record, My Philosophy. I said, okay, well, this is classic. I can't wait for this album to drop. And when I heard it, I was pleasantly surprised. I personally feel like back then and to this day is BDP's best album. I feel like it did trump Criminal Minded. Uh, Better replay value to me. KRS-One became more of a conscious rapper because on Criminal Minded, when you had 9mm go bang and stuff like that, he was a little more street, a little more, hardcore, and it was some gangster vibes within Criminal Minded. But with By All Means, even with the picture like him posing like Malcolm X on the cover, he
mm-hmm.
was in a different state of mind, because he had faced some tragedy and what have you. But I thought, and also he went political with, for example, the track Illegal Business. You know what I'm saying? Or, stuff like that. And I'm still number one, still one of my favorite KRS songs. So, yeah, man, that was a great album, man. It came out in a very prominent time in hip hop, and it stood up, man, 30 years later.
Yeah, it definitely stands up because leading into this show, I always say to myself, all right, well, some of this stuff is fresh in my mind. Some of it, I kind of remember it from back then, but I can't say, how I would feel today. So I listened to it on the train ride, coming home like early in the week. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. Like probably prior to listening to it recently, I would have said Criminal Minded was my favorite or the best. Nah, it's this one, like you said, because lyrically, KRS One stepped it up to a whole nother level with the conscious lyrics, like you said. Um, the clarity in his voice when he's saying his words, like that's the thing that people forget sometimes when it comes to, well, we know they forget today when
Right.
rappers, but just this, you don't understand how difficult it is to speak that clearly in that rhythm over a beat and try to maintain the flow and the swagger and all of that. And he sounds like the teacher, you know what I'm saying? Like he's,
Yeah, you know, it's more polished, and
yeah,
you know, Criminal Minded kind of sound like BDP's demo.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? It's raw. It's kind of like some basement RZA to Cal type of album. You know what I'm saying? So it's raw and grungy, and it's like we trying to get on. You know what I'm saying? So KRS One even talked about on various documentaries. One I think was a beef, the beef DVD about them rushing it like one take. Cause Scott was like, man, hey, we ain't got no money, man. We gotta hurry up and get this song out. And he said Scott said I was taking too long. You know what I'm saying? So by all means, you could tell that the production was high end. Like you said, it was more clear. The engineering was more clear. I think the song structures were much more improved and better and more complete. And so again, he was just a better MC. Kind of like when I always tell people, Nas was a better MC. It was written instead of Illmatic. Illmatic was like his demo almost, even though it held as a classic. It was more polished. His stories and everything were more clear. So that's the way I looked at KRS One.
yeah. And you know what it is also there's supposed to be a natural progression as an artist when you get that first project out. Because when you're an MC and you dream of that first album, it's kind of all your bedroom rhymes that you wrote, you know what I'm saying? Everything you wrote when you was poor or not as famous or whatever, just to show that you was the best. You didn't really think about song structure and stuff like that. You just had ideas and you wrote rhymes. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, when you listen to By All Means Necessary, you know, the content is so varied on there in regards to the subject matter that, you know, you could tell like the thing with him being more polished, he's more polished like it's the third album. You know what I'm saying? Or the fourth album, like he done lived already. But yeah, man, my philosophy, you're slipping, stop the violence. I'm still number one, part-time suckers. Oh yeah, I wanted to make that point real quick.
Yeah.
When you go back and listen to this, whether you are old enough to remember being there or you're younger, the worst thing you could be in the world was a sucker.
No doubt.
Off the top. And he say that throughout this whole album. And obviously my favorite, Jimmy. I used to love that record when I was a kid. But yeah, man.
And you know what too? Speaking of sucker, you know what I'm saying? Remember now, Run DMC, you know what I'm saying, about 4 or 5 years before that really made that word, you know, even more popular at the time. Like you definitely want to be a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they had sucker MCs. So, you know what I'm saying? So if you was an MC and a sucker, man, you shouldn't even rap. You know what I'm saying? So KRS One kind of took that to that next level.
Yeah, and I guess the final note as far as my observation listening to this album, and it also appears on another album we're going to talk about a little bit later, is the fact that you can see the influence of hits from like Run DMC, like you mentioned, especially in the rock hip hop space, because everybody kind of wanted a guitar, or you know, or some albums around that time they might have had a house record. You know what I'm saying? So they was either trying to get that rock crossover hit, even though hip hop wasn't trying to cross over, or they were trying to get that, you know, that dance record. Look at EPMD, It's Time to Party. You know, like Rick had one, you know, and another person had one, but we'll talk about that later. But let's get right into the topic. of this show, and this is a real juicy one, y'all, man. Tone came up with this joint, and I'm just prepared, man. So just let the people know, man.
So a few days ago, I was just looking at some old Source magazine articles, man. I was a big fan of the Source in the early '90s and mid '90s, and then I ran across the November 1998 edition, and I noticed that Outkast received 5 mics for Aquemini, and Jay-Z received 4.5 mics for Hard Knock Life in the same edition. And also, I noticed that both albums were released on September the 29th of that year. So,
Wow.
real quick, one quick note is most times two big stars on two different labels don't want to drop on the same day, excuse me, because you're battling each other for first week sales. And that's a big deal. So I just thought it was interesting that maybe LaFace Records said, hey, I don't care if Jay-Z dropping the Hard Knock Life. We dropping this Aquemini. We feel so confident in this album. And then for Rockefeller and Def Jam, they're like, well, that's fine that, Rosa Parks and all that's popping on the radio right now, and Outkast popping, but we're about to drop this Hard Knock Life. You know what I'm saying? So that was a kind of maybe some solid competition there that the public didn't know about. It's just retrospect thinking, though. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought that was very ironic that they mic'd them both in the same edition and they dropped on the same day, like 2 months prior.
Yeah. That's honestly, I didn't even know that, to be honest. That's crazy. But you know what's funny about that? Like, for you to say that, it's easy for me to forget a little bit because, again, like we did in our last episode, I was in college, but by this time, I had my own place with my roommate and stuff like that. And most of my friends are from New York that were in college with me. And so, we big Jay-Z fans. So, we anticipate this Jay-Z third album, blah, blah, blah. And we knew Outkast was coming out also, but it felt like because the sound was so different between the two, it felt like the goal was so different that I never felt like they were stepping on each other. You know what I'm saying? Right. It was like, if you ain't got the money, you're going to buy one or the other. Or if you got the money, you're just going to buy both. But I think when I saw that the Source gave Outkast 5 mics, I was kind of like, I think I need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy you would say that. What are some some of the things that they were saying about the albums in particular?
Well, as far as Aquemini, one of the first things in the review, the reviewer from the Source said was it's brilliant. The album is brilliant. The lyricism, the live instrumentation, it was so musical, and it was very in depth, and it was very diverse. That's some of the things that the Source reviewer had said. And so when I think about my own thoughts on the album, I mean, it kind of mimic what the Source was saying. When I put this album in and I heard Return of the G, I was like, man, I think Outkast's a little upset right now. Like, I think that, they felt kind of slighted with the way New York, the East Coast, and even the West Coast kind of overlooking the South. And I just think that Return of the G, Andre and Big Boy was kind of battle rap mode. For any listeners, go back and put that track on. That stood out to me. And they talked about that in the review as well, kind of how the album started. Now, of course, Hold On, Be Strong is this classic Outkast, the way they do intros to the album. Very deep and introspective, etc. The music is great. But the Return of the G set the tones, letting everyone know we rhyme. Whether you in New York or West Coast, we can rhyme with the best of you guys. And I think that was my first thing. I'm like, okay. And then the Source review was saying the same thing. So, I mean, that was just the kind of way it just set the tone, man. And then it went from there and just kept on going all the way through. And I'll get more in depth about that in a few minutes. Now, as far as the Jay-Z Hard Knock Life, one thing that stood out, one of the writers was saying, that they was following up with Volume 1, and they felt like it was too much Bad Boy influence on Volume 1 with the production, because Puffy Hitman did a lot of production on there.
Yeah.
So, Volume 2, he went more with, Timbaland, Swiss Beats, even Kid Capri and Eric Sermon, with Reservoir Dogs. So he tried to work with some street producers, more street producers, and blend that with some commercial tracks. For the radio. So they talked about how he was trying to find that fine line in between. And I agree with their review in terms of the way they described their view on the album. I thought that he was trying to find some kind of balance. And it's not hard to do. I mean, it's hard to do for a lyricist.
Yeah.
Most lyricists can't make commercial tracks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jay-Z mastered the way that I can do Can I Get 'Em? And I can also do It's Like That with Kid Capri.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like they were saying the balance, and on the Aquemini side, they were saying the brilliance of the album. They will go in more detail on.
And I kind of got that from both. Like I kind of got what the reviews were saying from both albums, because when I think back to first initially getting the Jay-Z album, and you know, Kill, who you know, hosts the podcast, you know what I'm saying, Apartment 5B. You check that out on YouTube, subscribe to that channel. We'll make beats for food. We appear on that podcast from time to time. But he also went to Morgan State, and that Jay-Z album, Hard Knock Life, it did divide the hip hop fans there, because it was like all features for the most part. You know what I'm saying? There was like one or two records that were like solo Jay-Z tracks, but it was a lot of features, and some people just wasn't feeling that. Me personally, I loved it, because you know, this is the third album, and sure, there's a couple of features. I know this is not going to be the last Jay-Z album, but I thought lyrically Jay-Z was at a high level on that album. So even though, you know, stuff like Can I Get It, and I didn't really care for that record that much, even when I was in my clubbing days, I still was kind of like,
hey, but let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this. In regard to Can I Get 'Em, I think a lot of very lyrical MCs kind of alienate the ladies that love hip hop. So I remember being in the club back in late '98 when that song was popping. I was a senior at UNCG. I was really finished with school, but I was doing my internship at the hospital. So when I went to the clubs, when that song came on, all the ladies was rocking to it. They knew the words to it with a meal, whatever. So you can't alienate the ladies that love hip hop. So Can I Get It was actually perfect for that album for that time, because to me in '98, Jay-Z was like, you know what? I'm trying to take over hip hop. I'm trying to take over New York. Biggie dead. You know, Nas done fizzled out a little bit. He had his time where he was written or whatever. Nobody else was really in my way outside of DMX on the rise. I got to get X out the way. I got to get on the radio. I got to get in the club, and I got to still rock in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So Jay-Z was trying to make a big album, and he did. It sold 5 million records, and he hasn't beat that to this day. 20 years later, he hasn't beat 5 million.
Crazy when you think about it. But, you know, like, I mean, there are plenty of other records that he had that I like, you know, what, Gigawatt and all of that stuff that were kind of designed for that same purpose. I just thought they were better club records. But I still enjoyed the entire album, most of the features and stuff like that. But there was just a divide. Me, I kind of stood in the middle. I was one of the guys who liked the album, but I could see how people who grew to like Jay-Z wasn't really feeling it. And like you said, you know what I'm saying, he was trying to find that balance. And I think it worked for the most part for him. Like you said, 5 million sold, and he still hasn't even come close to touching that number again. Now on the Outkast side, when I did get the album, Return of the Gangster told me before I could hear any other records on there, I see why this is 5 mics.
Yep, exactly.
It sets a tone to let you know, like, if you've never paid attention to Outkast, they're gonna grab your attention now, and then you go along for the ride. And it was like, I think for me, it was the first time I officially committed to being an Outkast fan, because sometimes when there's rappers or singers or whatever where I like records of theirs, but not enough to go and buy the whole album, you know, I'll just deal with the records I like, and that's it. But when I heard Aquemini, it was like, nah, I need to go get Southern Playalistic. I need to own AT Aliens, because I've been missing out on a lot of stuff, you know, being distracted. And yeah, man, like even the album cover.
Yeah.
Just cool shit. You know what I'm saying? Just the 70s cartoon drawing and all of that. Just pretty dope. Now, I did want to establish this for people who the Source magazine is just something to hear about, or when they look at Suge Knight at the Source Awards or whatever. But by this time, the Source was large, just as large as hip hop was becoming, just as popular. It literally was the Bible. Those mics meant everything in the world. Like, I know, like with you, when that newest joint came out, you know, we just had to see who was being anointed what. Was anybody going to join the 5 mic classic? You know, were they going to miss and you know, miss somebody, you know, by a couple of mics or get something wrong? So I want to pose this question to you, Tone, and
All right.
people who are watching this, you can leave your comments in the comment section. Do you think Aquemini and Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life deserve the mics they got?
Okay, so first with Aquemini, yes, it is 5 mics. It's an absolutely amazing piece of music. It gave you everything. I jotted this down. Like every type of style of rap was on Aquemini. Like you
Yeah,
had, for example, the gangster track with like Skew It on the Barbecue. You had funk on Rosa Parks. You had the southern sound on Slump. You had the electronic type of sound on Chunky Fire. You know, you had this amazing art of storyteller 1 and 2. That part 2, it sounded like it's muffled. It's kind of, it's just so creative, man. You know, it's an amazing song, man. Liberation is actually one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life.
mm,
Uh, Hip hop aside, you'd be hard pressed to me to find 10 songs with more passion and emotion than Liberation. The way CeeLo came in, the way Erykah Badu came in, the way Joy came in, the way Rue came in at the end with the poetry, man, gangster poetry at the end, man. It was revolutionary. So I mean, when you think of just some amazing hip hop, man, Aquemini deserved it. If it could have got 6 mics, it could have got 6. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'll get into more detail on some of my favorite parts of Aquemini, but yeah, it definitely deserved it. Now, with the Volume 2 Hard Not Life, I go back and forth because I almost feel like it's 5 mics. And one of the reasons why I say Source might have slighted it a half a mic to a degree is it still stand up to me. When the club tones come on right now, 20 years later, Can I Get a Jiggle What, whatever, it feel like in the crowd, in the clubs feel like it just came out. That's saying a lot. DMX, Money Cash Hold, all these songs still are fresh in the club. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And you know, I still feel like I said, the singles held up. I like the album tracks with the joint with Kid Capri, the Reservoir Dogs with the Locks. I even like Money Ain't a Thing with Jermaine Dupri. I like It's All Right with Memphis Bleak.
yeah,
Now, and speaking of Memphis Bleak, on the intro, I actually thought that was the coming out party for Bleak. Like, man, Bleak gonna become this big star. He killed that Primo beat.
he
You know what I'm
did,
saying?
man.
On a quick side note, but so I'm tinkering between the 4.5 and the 5 with Jay-Z. I know a lot of people might not like Hard Not Life. Even the Hard Not Life title track, it's a gangster type of track, man. It's a hood track with the Andy joint. It's brilliant. You know what I'm saying? So I still think it's in between the 4.5 and the 5. I guess I'm tinkering back and forth right now, but I'm not mad at the review. But I wouldn't have been mad if it was 5 mics either.
Yeah, and like you, I agree. The Outkast album, Aquemini, it is a masterpiece, man. It's a masterpiece from all angles, like you said, from all the different genres that, like, put it this way: the things that on my podcast I praise Kendrick and Terrace Martin and Thundercat, all these cats who helped to bring Pimp a Butterfly together because of all the musical influences. Outkast did that with Aquemini.
That
You
sure
know what I'm
did.
saying? They did that. Those sounds, those same sounds, and Three Stacks was a part of the people who made To Pimp a Butterfly. He helped Kendrick with a lot of that
Right.
stuff. So you know what I'm saying? You see how genius it was for them back in '98 to on their third album raise the bar as a group. You know what I'm saying? As MCs, as one of the best hip hop groups of all time. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, again, they certified my fandom with them with that album. And which, you know, when you do that, you know, dudes go back and buy your whole shit. You buy your whole catalog.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
the other stuff be worse.
and let me say this. Speaking of Andre influencing the Pimp a Butterfly, a lot of people don't know that by the third album, Outkast were doing some of their production on production. So Andre 3000 produced several tracks on
Wow.
Aquemini, and then Organized Noise produced a couple of tracks, and then they all did some tracks with the guy Mr. DJ, uh, who do a lot of stuff with Andre 3000 and Big Boy. So Dre made some of the beats. They say now some of this is rumor mill, some of this is just just reading up on the album. That Big Boy came up with a lot of the hooks, and Andre came up with a lot of the beats. Because they both did elevators. That's Big Boy and Andre. They did elevators for ATLs.
Wow.
So a lot of people thought Organized Noise did that beat. Andre and Big Boy did that beat.
And that's probably close to being my favorite, one of my top 5 favorite beats of all time, to be honest.
Yeah, and another thing on the rumor mill, and like I said, this is just a hearsay, but this is what I heard was they did a lot of stuff with pianos, live instruments on Aquemini, and they did a lot of recording in Bobby Brown's studio in Atlanta. And they were just people in and out, and it just took them a while to put the album together because there were so many great minds, pitching in their ideas and instrumentation and stuff like that. So that was a big deal around that time. They said the way they was putting the album together. You know what I'm saying? They was doing it like Motown and Hit Bill, when Smokey Robinson would come in real quick, write a little something. Marvin Gaye come in, write a little something like that, or young Rick James might come in and write a hook and then bounce. So people was coming in and out, contributing to the album.
Yeah, and you can hear that, you can feel it when you listen to it. It was the same thing with the Pimp a Butterfly. It's the same thing with Aquemini. You feel that this wasn't a project that was rushed at all, and that's really how classics are made, man. It's a collaboration, it's inspiration, and people just really thinking about what they're gonna do from every angle. So I think it deserved the 5 mics it got. Now Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life, I think it deserved a 4. I don't think it was close to classic because there were too many features for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so many features, it might as well just been a compilation album or soundtrack, something like that. So it's kind of like one of those albums I still love, as far as a favorite, it's up there for me. But I kind of felt like, yeah, we could use a little bit more Jay-Z, because when you listen to the lyrics on the Kid Capri joint, it's like that. It's kind of like some of them verses, we could have got more Hove instead of what was them cats name? The Rangers. Yeah. Like, even though the verses wasn't bad, that could have been a whole solo record. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. At least a little bit more. But I understood the goal. Now here's one story. Since Kill don't like me to tell stories on his podcast, I'll tell it on mine. But when Jay's, I think in the liner notes, but basically when he was doing the promo, as far as like photo shoots and stuff like that for that album, I was working at a sneaker store in Brooklyn, and it's like early morning. I got to be there before it opened. I'm at the bus stop. I see a drop top Bentley coming down Fulton Street. It's that old Brooklyn, black people basically, not that gentrified, not that new Brooklyn. But I see, a Bentley just coming down the street, some drop top, and I'm thinking like, oh, the hell, you know what I'm saying? And then I look and I see a dude driving it, and I'm like, man, that's Jay-Z. See Bleaks in the car also, and I see a photographer in the passenger seat, and it sounds like something out of a sitcom or movie. But the cameraman was just all over the seat taking photos. And I mean, they wasn't even doing shit. It wasn't like they kept posing. They were just chilling, you know what I'm saying? But he was moving and getting all kinds of angles and hanging over the seat. And I just remember seeing that, and I was like, well, he must got an album coming out pretty soon, because that was clearly a photo shoot that just drove past me. I thought I was just jumping the whip and shit, but yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't. Because I didn't want to get fired. But to say all of that, what I'm saying, what are some of your favorite records off of both albums?
Man, so Aquemini Liberation, like I said a few minutes ago, was absolutely one of the best songs I've ever heard. Y'all Scared with the Good Mob. Now let me tell you something real quick about that. Everyone came hard on Y'all Scared. And Andre 3000, his verse on there basically was the movie Traffic with Michael Douglas. When it's like, you know what, these politicians basically ignoring all the stuff going on in the hood, but now your daughter is on that crack. She on that pipe. And them drug dealers are busting her down. Now you want drug reform. Now you want to fight against, you know what I'm saying, the borders and things of that nature. You want to stop this crack in these hoods because these politicians' children was getting high now. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what Andre 3000 was talking about on Y'all Scared. So, I mean, the Big Boy came hard on Y'all Scared. I mean, yeah, I'll say, and Chunky Fry, because at the end of that song, they played that excerpt from the Source Awards when they said the winners, you know, Kid was Kid from Kid and Play and playing Salt and Pepper. And he was like, say it with me, y'all. Outkast, you know, Good Mob in the house, you know, they was kind of sunning them a little bit. And so, you know, Big Boy came up and like, yo, is New York in the house? I know this y'all, you know, this y'all place, man. We just want to say what's up to the real MCs and yada, yada, yada. Andre 3000, he said, Dre, what you got to say? And he's like, first I want to thank God, whatever. Then he said, yo, I'm tired of folks, closed-minded folks. You know what I'm saying? Here you don't want to hear your demo, yada, yada, yada. It's like this, though. The South got something to say. That's all I got to say. That changed hip-hop. And they walked off that stage. That forever changed hip-hop. Andre wasn't trying to play with these cats no more. He's like, yo, I ain't playing no more. That's why when Aquemini came out, they returned to G, for me, was a continuation of that speech on the Source Awards. South got something to say, I got something to say. You know what I'm saying? Y'all trying to play us, you know, like we some cornballs down here. I like y'all. You know what I'm saying? And Three Stacks was like, well, and so was Big Boy, who's an underrated MC.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So that stuck with me, man. Because I'm from North Carolina, I felt that. I'm like, yeah, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do got something to say. We got MCs down here.
Yeah.
You know? And then the album went off. Perfect way, start to finish.
Yeah, man.
So
pure classic.
Yeah, no question about it, man. Just give me chills when I think about it, man. The way Andre's voice was, man. I felt that anger, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anybody listening, man, go back and listen to Chunky Fire, man. So for Jay-Z, Hard Not Life, man. Actually, one of my songs on there that's never discussed a whole lot is Ride or Die, because Stevie J did that beat. He was the only hitman that was on Volume 2. They was all over Volume 1. But Stevie J did the beat. But the rumor was Ride or Die was a diss at Mace, because Mace had been throwing some little shots at Jigga. And the year before that, Jay-Z was opening up for a Bad Boy on the No Way Out tour. And then Jay-Z jumped off the tour. That's when he heard the 45 King joint with the Hard Not Life and whatever the history after that. But he ate Mace up with subliminals throughout that song. And he's like, you don't want nothing with Jigga.
And look, remember, that was the second diss towards Mace, because the first was Imaginary Players. You know what I mean? That was clearly about Mace, because Mace had said, you know, he hear everybody saying platinum that, platinum this, but nobody got no platinum hits. Then Jay-Z just hit him up 2 albums in a row.
So let me say this. The funny thing about a lot of casual fans, maybe hip-hop fans will understand what I'm saying. Maybe casual fans can get something out of what I'm about to say. Don't get it twisted. Jay-Z is a battle rapper first. That's what a lot of people don't understand. You know, when after doing the original Flavor Time and all that, Dame Dash talked on YouTube interviews about they used to seek out people to battle. They went and battled LL Cool J, catch him out the club, and they went and battled Busta Rhymes, and they went the famous Harlem joint with or whatever Uptown battling DMX. You know, going on the radio with Big L rhyming when Big L was in his prime. You know what I'm saying? So Jay-Z is a battle rapper, so don't get it confused. When he did a takeover at Mobb Deep and Nas and all that, that's typical Jay-Z. He always throwing subliminals from Reasonable Doubt all the way up to now.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z will eat your ass up if you come sleeping.
Yeah, it was like Jay had a lot of subliminal battles, but we always knew who was actually battling. You know what I'm saying? There was even times where, and he even gave LL a song. But if you listen to the Shy remix, um,
Hmm.
clearly answering LL's kind of subliminal towards him with the whole "I shot you" and not this time, but next time I'ma name names, talking
Yeah,
about Jay-Z, because on Jay-Z returned that on the Shy remix, um, when he was like, you want beef with Jigga, but nigga say my name. You shot like, and I was just sitting there like, let's get it, like let's stop all the subliminals. Let's put it out there. Whole versus, I mean, LL, you gonna lose. Sorry, he ain't
yeah,
cannabis.
yeah, yeah, and that's the funny thing about it, man. A lot of people just don't realize. Uh, Jay said on Black Album he dumbed down for his audience, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, he didn't dumb down too much. He threw shots, and he's very lyrical.
Yeah, very
So,
lyrical.
so I mean but Ride or Die, like I said, that was a sleeper on the album. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed whenever he got in battle mode. You know what I'm saying? Because I like battle MCs. I like to hear them. Hip hop is about battling, going back to KRS and all that. By all means, before that, KRS was battling. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So I enjoyed the battle thing about hip hop. But yeah, so that one, I like Jigga What Jigga Who. You know what I'm saying? I like Reservoir Dogs. I thought Siegel and the Lots got off something serious on there. So those are some of my favorite tracks on Volume 2.
Yeah, for me on Outkast, Turn of the G, obviously. I said that a couple of times. Um, the art of storytelling, part one and two. It was just a thing that I didn't see coming. I thought it was just dope. I love the whole, kind of paying respects to Slick Rick as a pioneer of storytelling and hip hop, releasing a classic album that was all stories back in '88, with the Great Adventures of Slick Rick. Probably my favorite next to Return of the G is, it's not even really a rap record. It's just some pimp shit, some talking, some singing, and usually I have a lot of trouble pronouncing it, but it's Spotty Adi Dopalicious. What, how you say it? Whatever the fuck.
Hey, we gonna let that be
Diabolicious,
close.
whatever, one of them
Hey,
shits.
that's close enough.
Yeah, that's close enough. I love that joint, man, and I think that record kind of represented what you see on the album cover. You know what I'm saying? Like when I saw the album cover, I thought about those old '70s drawings. Shit JJ used to draw with the Evans family in Good
Yeah,
Times in their apartment. Uh, but that it was just one of those records where, to me, Outkast could do that. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, exactly.
other rappers, sometimes they take a break from rapping and they start doing some other shit, and I'm kind of like, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? But I felt like Outkast wasn't in a box, so I was open enough to be able to listen to whatever they provided on that album, and that type of shit is right up my alley because I love black exploitation movies. I really love soundtracks more than anything. Probably listen to the Superfly soundtrack maybe once or twice a month since I turned 18, but probably those are my favorites on there now. Hard Knock Life, Reservoir Dogs. I mean, just dope MC after dope MC on there. Just, I mean, I don't think there was one whack verse on that entire album. I don't have the whole thing in front of me, but I can remember for the most part. I just love that joint. The joint with Kid Capri. Now that came out on Kid Capri's album prior to Hard Knock Life dropping. Kid Capri had like a mixtape like album that came out, and that was Jay Z's record on there. And I just remember me and my friends played that record to death, and it was
Mhm.
really because of the lyrical content. You
Yeah,
know, it was like Jay was just getting better. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't agree more with anybody who feels like Jay Z was at the peak or he got better or whatever, but he was definitely dope. And probably my favorite because it was the party record that I enjoyed was Money Cash Holes.
yeah,
Because when they played that in the club,
yeah,
that shit was just as hot, and everybody would kind of look like, this shit don't make no sense. to save money and cash, but who gives a shit? The shit is hot. Then
Yeah.
they had remix to it. You know what I'm saying? More money, more
Yeah.
cash, more hoes. So yeah, man, two dope albums, very different albums. You know what I'm saying? You could take them or leave them. You could like both, whatever.
Let me
Just
say
a
this too.
yeah,
I'll be remiss speaking of songs if I didn't say Outkast Aquemini the title track. I mean that song, man. Let me just say that might be right up there in my top three. I kind of go back and forth, which is the great thing about a classic album. I have a favorite song every time I hear it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But one thing that Andre said, man, was aliens can blend right up in with your kin. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about that, you know what I'm saying, aliens can blend right up in with your kin. You know, sometimes you let the wrong people in your sight. You know what I'm saying? You think of somebody, a genuine person in your life, and they're crap. You know what I'm saying? They leeching off you. They stabbing you while you think they helping you. You know what I'm saying? So when he said that, like, man, that make a lot of sense, man. You know, you let aliens come in with your kin. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? That's why it's always good when people always say, hey, I'm gonna keep my circle small and tight. You know what I'm saying? But Andre was dropping jewels and gems like that throughout the whole album. Big Boy was kind of gangster on there. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go back and listen to y'all scared verses, some of the verses throughout the album, Big Boy again was kind of inviting whoever wanted to. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So I just
Like you
like
said,
the attitude.
they kind of
Yeah.
they matured on a whole nother level. They matured on AT Aliens, but like you said, I think it was that fire that, and I think it did it for a lot of artists at the Source Awards. You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
that whole situation sent a lot of artists into the studio with a different mindset and really changed the hip hop game from a whole nother level. Unfortunately, it also left certain artists kind of in the dust because like Outkast got more aggressive. Bad
Yep.
Boy was really aggressive. Death Row was all aggressive. Nas was like, I can't just be the broke rapper from the '90s. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was kind of walking away with some influence, but then when you look at like what happened with a Tribe Called Quest, I felt like like with Tupac just running out right in the
Right.
middle, it was just like it was a new era. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just kind of taken over by force. So
And also too, think about 1998. It's probably a slept on year. It's probably one of the top 5 or 6 greatest years in hip hop from a lot of perspectives. When you're having the rise of Jay-Z fully with Hard Knock Life, DMX dropped 2 platinum albums in the same year, and they
yeah,
go on tour together. And I was at that tour when they came to Greensboro, North Carolina, for the Hard Knock Life tour. You also had the rise of Big Pun with Capital Punishment, Black Star, Most Def, and Talib Kweli
yeah.
dropped that classic album. So that type of year, I think Nori dropped that year or somewhere around that time with his song. I mean, it was just a crazy. Cannabis was still kind of killing mixtapes and was hot and whatever. So that was a pretty amazing year for Outkast. I want to say the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill came out that year.
It did.
Uh, and
That
so
was that was also the year the Source put that album, not the album cover, that magazine cover together where they were talking about the future of hip hop, and they had Cameron and Pun and Silk the Shocker.
that's right, it sure did.
This was up there too. I think he was. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I believe so.
like you said, it was it was basically it was kind of happening organically. It was like we were kind of moving on from Big and Pac into a new era, and we had all this variety. You know what I'm saying? Uh, it was pretty dope, man. That's a dope topic, man. But we're gonna finish off on that. We gave you a lot of context, a lot of stuff you can go out and research and stuff like that. But we come to the point in the show where we recommend to you an album you should go back and listen to. For me, that album is Onyx's second album, All We Got Is Us. Why
Woo!
that album is significant to me, I literally thought, okay, this bald head mad face invasion was a gimmick. It was dope when it happened, but it's over. You know what I'm saying? What could they do? We don't care about any of that stuff as much. And man, when you talk about stepping it up lyrically, the
Yes.
production, the production is some of the grimiest beats you ever heard in your life. You know what I'm saying? couple of songs off of here. Last Days. Yo, they
Woo!
used to play that in clubs. You can't dance to that. You know what I'm saying? But it was just, it wasn't really about dancing. It was about a vibe. You know what I'm saying? A certain vibe.
Yep.
Um, Purse Snatchers was another joint that was dope. Kind of was on the mixtape circuit before it dropped. Better Off Dead. Um, what else? Most Def was a dope record for them also. Um,
Definitely.
Also, and probably a song that kind of shocked me when I first saw it on here, because I didn't, well, let me say when I first heard it, because I first heard it on a mixtape, was Walking New York. I didn't know what the hell that record was about, to be honest. And then when I heard it, and not Sticky, but Fredro starts off saying we don't throw gang signs in New York. I'm like, oh shit! Like, first thing I'm
Yeah.
thinking is they're gonna get fucked up. You know what I'm saying? That was my first thing I was thinking about because I heard mad shit about them back in the day. We're not gonna do that on here. But just another record that was just grimy. It was kind of like if you wanted to say the whole Mad Face Invasion, Onyx and Ballheads and Slam Dancer was dead, it was kind of like, yeah, that's what we did on our first album, but here we're gonna dig real deep in that dirty, grimy New York flavor sound that everybody enjoys because we all enjoy music from other areas because they represent the culture of those areas. Because I'm a big West Coast gangsta rap hip hop fan, like big time. But this was just unexpected to me from Onyx. So what I'm saying? If you the type of dude who heard of Slam or you seen the throwback video of Slam and you thinking like, oh, y'all was wilding in the '90s or whatever, these dudes not only put this dope album out, but they put another one out, I believe, in '98 or
They
close,
did.
which
They
was a
did.
Shut 'Em Down joint.
Yep.
So Onyx is actually lyrically nice as a group. They wasn't just a gimmick, and All We Got Is Us is, I would give that 4.5. And shit, I'm flirting with classic to be honest. What's your pick for this week, Tone?
I'll give you that pick in 1 second. Let me just ride your coattail real quick and say I love that album, Onyx.
Mm.
It was unexpected to me as well. A lot of people don't know that Fredro Starr made a lot of the beats. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? So you took the
Yeah,
production
right,
credit
right.
now. Fredro was dope at making beats, man. So he made a lot of Onyx beats throughout their tenure, making albums. So I agree. Now on my end is the d.o.c. No
Mm.
one can do it. No one can do it better. Released in 1989. Everyone know the Doc was big with writing with NWA and with Dr. Dre and the Chronic and with Snoop and everyone like that. He's from Texas, but Texas still Midwest West, and he spent like most of his time living with Dr. Dre and
Yeah.
Compton. So he's a West Coast cat at the end of the day. No one can do it better, man. I'm gonna tell you some of the songs, man. The grand finale, of course, the final track on now with NWA and everyone, and it's one of the best ways you can end a classic album because no one
Yeah.
can do it better. It's a classic. It started off with "It's Funky Enough." The first time I heard "It's Funky Enough," I was like, "This dude better take over West Coast hip hop." I mean, he got the look, got the voice. He was
Yeah.
like the West Coast like Rock Him, man. He was just so dope until he got into that car accident and lost his voice. I
Yeah.
like "Let the Bass Go." Man, no one can do it better. The title track, the formula.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bruh, it was just some amazing work. You know what I'm saying? It's one of my favorite West Coast albums. I would actually say for me personally, it's probably the top 5 West Coast album. That's saying a lot when you consider what came out in the West, but I do believe it's on the verge of that top 5, man. So for anyone who hasn't heard it or hasn't heard it in a long time, go back and check out No One Can Do It Better, the d.o.c, legendary West Coast MC.
Legendary, man. And I always used to feel like because of the way his delivery was and the way he strained his words a little bit, I always felt like he was like West Coast LL Cool J. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? With Dre beats and them beats and energy. Like my favorite track off of there. I mean, obviously the joints we know are just classic, but I listened to this actually today
Yeah.
to refresh my memory, and d.o.c and the Doctor, his passion on that record,
Yeah.
that's an artist. That's how you can separate a dude that just raps versus someone who's an artist. You know he's a notorious ghostwriter, wrote a ton of hits, but his passion on that record is just like he just knew he was nice,
And
and
that's the
he
sad
knew
part
he
of
was
him.
nice.
Yeah, and that was the sad part of him being in that accident because d.o.c. was passionate, knew he could rhyme. He had the energy. I mean, he had the whole thing where Ice Cube might not end up being as large as he was. d.o.c. wouldn't have got hurt.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I'm not saying, I mean, Ice Cube was dope. I'm just saying, but d.o.c. had that, he might have been nicer.
Yeah, he had d.o.c. had more of a, without completely crossing over, he had more of a broader scope because when you listen to Ice Cube lyrics, they are embedded in the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? They're
Yeah.
really speaking our language for the most part, and everybody else outside of that need to catch up. But d.o.c. is bringing that passion that we're familiar with, but his records he just chooses the perfect words to say. You know what I'm saying? And anybody can understand it. Like
Yeah.
to draw a comparison real quick, like when I was listening to By All Means Necessary and like really listening to KRS-One um, versus listening to d.o.c, I just kind of felt like, damn, like both of them are just so on point in the way they deliver their messages and their lines. And
Yeah.
even though they're coming from two different angles, two different areas, and all of that, um, d.o.c. is just, you could tell, like, and I don't know if at this time, probably now, but you could tell he studied someone to be able to be a songwriter in that regard. And I think that's what kind of pushes him above Ice Cube as a songwriter, because Ice Cube was Ice Cube.
Yeah.
He was a personality, but d.o.c. knew people. You know what I'm saying, and what
Yeah.
people like.
No doubt.
Man, two dope recommendations, man. Onyx came out. All We Got Was Us. Is Us came out in 1995. d.o.c. that was what, 1988,
1989.
1989. Another good year. Um, Go and check them joints out. They from an era where dudes were suckers and all types of stuff. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Everything else, man. Dope show, Tone, man. And,
Yo.
that's going to do it for us, y'all, on That Time in Hip Hop. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please believe there will be more episodes coming your way, more hip hop content from all eras, recommendations this week in hip hop. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to this channel on the B-Roll Network. Hit that like button. Visit intothe.dome.com. Make sure you check out the articles you can read, right? There's nothing wrong with reading. Check out some of the articles, man, where Tone goes in depth. Like you think we covering stuff here. This brother knocking it out the park when it comes to, really researching artists and concepts and ideas and theories on some of your favorite artists. So check that out at intothe.dome.com. I do a podcast, a weekly podcast that's on hip hop news. So if you want to get caught up in what's going on in hip hop today, whether that be albums or just news, usually it's who's getting locked up or knocked out, which is a damn shame. You know what I'm saying? But all of this information will be in the description. But let us know what you think about some of the albums we named. Did those albums like Outkast, Aquemini, Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life deserve the mics they got? Do you not care? Whatever. Leave your comments in the comment section, and most importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this type of content, because we the only ones doing it. All right. So until next week, y'all. On behalf of myself, Vegas, the homie Tone. Peace.
Drop it on the random.